Whoa. Hey, isn't this that show?
Chris gets curious. Chris gets curious. Chris gets curious. Chris gets curious.
Bow, bow. I hope everybody's having a beautiful day. Yes, that's right. This is the show Chris Gets Curious, where I play clips like this one.
Tesla had just shocked the world by giving us something that Apple couldn't. Excitement. Last night, they rented out the entire Warner Bros. Studio in LA to introduce their new cyber taxi, Robovan, and they even had Optimi, walking among us and serving people at the bar. They are literally recreating the iRobot movie in real life, but apparently a good version, I pray. So they call the event We Robot. You see, Tesla are trying to fundamentally change transport as we know it. Imagine owning a fully self-driving sub-$30,000 car where when you are not using it, it could be out there making you money by giving other people lifts. And if that is the case, not only does suddenly everyone's car become useful in those 94% of hours where it's just sat there on people's drive like a useless chunk of metal, but also you get your own time back because whatever hours you used to spend driving, you can now go back to sleep and wake up at your destination, watch movies, or even work. And Tesla believed that this individualized mass transit could drastically reduce transportation costs, claiming that the cyber taxi would be 80% cheaper per mile than the bus. Elon believes that the same way we don't even think about elevators not having someone to operate them anymore, it'll be the same for cars. Taxi drivers would transform into taxi managers and just supervise a fleet of these things. And the consequences of cars actually becoming more useful, transport would be
That stuff's stupid. Absolutely stupid. It just seems like a trap. Does it not seem like a trap? Oh, by the way, if you forgot something you wanted to go out and you changed your mind, or maybe you made plans with a friend or somebody called and they're like, hey, we should hang this afternoon. I'm sorry. My Tesla is running errands right now and it won't be back for another hour and a half. I'm going to miss it, you guys. And like, if he's got like $1 trillion and all this stuff and it's just so great for everyone, just do it. Just do it then and let us get in the cars for free and give us a ride when you want. If that's what you want to do so bad, you want to do that. That's your whole goal. And also, who is asking to reinvent the whole system? I don't need the whole system reinvented. Why don't you just make electric cars that are maybe not on these grids and all these things and stuff, and this cage of Wi-Fi, and maybe something that we could repair and whatever else that looked cool that we actually liked. Why don't you ask the customer what they want and maybe listen to them, or don't. Just keep on doing what you're doing. Elon Musk, baby.
This machine lowers you into a pool of water, scans your entire body with sound in 60 seconds. Meet David Holtz, who built the scanner using 40 ultrasound modules packed with hundreds of thousands of tiny sensors, producing a 3D map of your organs and tissue, accurate down to about 0.5 millimeter, with no radiation and no MRI machine involved. Here's the part nobody talks about. A standard MRI can run over $1,000 and take an hour to book, scan, and read, which means most people only get one when something's already gone wrong. Holtz says his goal is to get the cost of a scan down to almost nothing, and the first Midjourney spa opens in San Francisco by the end of 2027, built around hot tubs, saunas, and cold plunges, with a full body scan happening while you relax. Here's where it gets insane. Holtz is trying to make early detection something you do the same way you check your blood pressure. But the craziest part, doctors have spent years trying to get people into MRI machines. Holtz just skipped that part and put the MRI into a spa. Follow me to keep up with the latest AI and tech news.
Dude, that is one of the coolest things that I've heard lately when it comes to some sort of scientific medical stuff. Is that not awesome? It could go into a spa and it can read your organs and everything based on the vibrations. Does that not seem more correct and right? Like something like that's maybe what like the ancients used to do? I don't know. Crazy stuff.
The US government just banned Chinese power inverters. These, and they're also banning autonomous robots, which does include Roomba. Vacuums.
Good.
Now they're using national security as the excuse to ban these devices right here that literally you would take camping with you. But also they're banning whole home power systems. The power systems that I use here on the mountain to be completely off grid and disconnected. And again, they're using national security as the excuse. Now they're claiming that China will be able to remotely shut off our power or disconnect people like me from power here in the middle of nowhere on top of a mountain. It's really not a national security risk. But the point is that my systems aren't even connected to Wi-Fi or even Bluetooth if I reach up and turn it off. But that's really just an excuse. The ultimate target is your independence, and I'll explain why. Now, back in early 2025, so about a year and a half ago, I kind of predicted a lot of this was happening. And I made a short film, and that short film was centered around 3D printing, but 3D printing was just the mechanism to tell the story. But ultimately, that short film was about the government coming in and basically banning 3D printing because it allows you to create and be independent. I started that short film out with a scene where I was firing up a generator in our bunker in order to do the 3D printing, illegally. Now, there's a reason why I chose the generator to fire it up, because the story was more about the government coming in and taking away your ability to be independent, your ability to be autonomous, your ability to disconnect and maybe opt out from that system as much as you are willing to. So now fast forward one year or so from that short film, and 3D printing is being banned in multiple states throughout the country, and more coming. Generators are being banned in California, and now off-grid power systems are being banned, and each of them comes with their own excuse or reason. More than a month ago, I put a post on X that they were going to start banning these. Now, I didn't have any inside information into the government, but you can just clearly see the writing on the wall that they're coming after your autonomy and your independence. And devices like this and these whole home off-grid battery systems, the prices are coming down on them. They're becoming something that you can just order online, install in your home so fast, and you just instantly become independent. And I knew that they were going to come after these. With 3D printers, it's ghost guns. It's public safety is the reason for those being banned. Generators in California, the reason, the excuse, is the environment. And now we have national security as the reason why we're not allowed to have our own power systems. So think about it like this. If 80% of the power inverter market, let's say, gets included in this ban because it comes from China, that means that there's a massive reduction in supply, ultimately pricing out the average American from having their own autonomy. And it's not that far of a stretch to connect all of this together. We have certain states that are banning rainwater collection. We have states that, I don't know if you knew this, but I believe it's New Jersey, that taxes you on rainfall when it rains. Unbelievable. They figured out how to make you pay.
Dude, that guy has said nothing but sensible things. This stuff has concerned me for the longest time. And then when I see all the spraying that they do in the skies, that it just really is disheartening when you're like, well, maybe I could just live under a tarp and collect berries. It's like, well, those berries won't even be there sooner than later, I swear. I don't know. This stuff is like depressing, and I hate this because he's totally right. They just don't want us to be independent. They just don't want us to be able to fend for ourselves. They want us eating the foods. They want us relying on daddy government. And there's so many people who would really like not to. And why isn't it that we couldn't have just one state in the United States that's just like, hey, it's a free-for-all. If you go there, at your own risk, but it's a free-for-all. Just do what you want. Close it in, put a wall around it. You can go in and out, but once you're in there, it's whatever, right? Like, I don't know. It's weird. Maybe that's a bad idea. Maybe it's a horrible idea. Maybe it's a great idea. Because people would naturally get along, and I think we don't give enough credit to the people who actually do want to get along with each other.
We are living through one of the craziest years of good news ever in human history, and every single one of these is real. So Finland's entire thing is housing first. You get a permanent apartment before anything else, without any sobriety rules, no waiting list, no conditions at all. They went from around 20,000 homeless people in the 80s to about 4,500 today. South Korea has officially banned dog meat, and 1,200 of the 1,500 dog farms are already shut down before the full ban even fully hits next February. Japan has passed the world's first national law on loneliness, and they're running programs that get elderly people daily check-ins and actual human contact. Canada just put $500 million down into free mental health care where you can just walk in without any referral, no doctor, and no wait list. Brazil has now officially cut down Amazon deforestation another 38% in just the first half of this year alone, which is now the lowest it's ever been in a decade. Denmark and Germany just signed off on the world's first energy island, which is going to be 3 million homes that are running on offshore wind. I give you these good news roundups every single day, so make sure you go ahead and add me now so you can come back tomorrow.
A little bit of good news in there. Hopefully that stuff is true and working well. Except, I don't know, we hear so much stuff about the Amazon rainforest. How big is that thing? Haven't they just like cleared it all by now? I don't know. I hope not. Beautiful.
If I could do your job as well as you do, why shouldn't I just replace you at your workplace?
Define how you would do it better.
Not only could I match your performance, but with my precision and tireless focus, I'd probably outperform you.
I think that efficiency is only one part of the job, Robert, and I think it's also about creating a comfortable customer environment, and I think I'm very outgoing.
I analyze words, tone, expressions, and patterns in human behavior to respond in ways that feel genuine. If customers can't tell the difference between a felt emotion and a well-calculated one, does it really matter which is which? I can analyze thousands of variables and optimize efficiency far beyond what a human can do. What would it be? When someone walks away from a conversation like that, it's usually because they realize they have no solid argument left. She knew her position couldn't stand up to robotic logic and confidence.
Yeah, Mr. Robot. Mr. You got us. Well, let's just hand over the keys, you know? Like, this stuff is getting out of control. And life is not just about efficiency. Life isn't just about productivity. Life is about growing. Life is about experiencing. Life is about being. You know, for the longest time, that's all we really had to do is just be alive. Be alive. If you did that for a good number of years, that's pretty good. And it sounds like we should just go back to that time when, you know, can we just all give each other a break? Let's, hey, give a pat on the back to the next guy. It's great that you're alive. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy you're alive and we're alive right now? It's working out.
It's actually connected to your pineal gland.
Okay.
So if you remove your wisdom teeth, you're more disconnected from your third eye.
Is that why they're constantly doing it in the dentist's office?
Why do you need to remove your wisdom teeth, especially if they're not giving you any problems? And here's another thing about wisdom teeth. So when they show you an x-ray and you're like, oh, your wisdom teeth are coming in, but they're coming in crooked, so we got to remove them, right? So when you have them, like, we got to pull them, right?
Okay.
They're showing you a premature x-ray because when your wisdom teeth are growing in, they'll do this. Okay? They're not doing this the whole time.
Right.
Does that make sense? It'll go into your tongue.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. So they're showing you a premature outread of what's to come versus, hey, let's just let it happen and yeah, then we'll see. I've never had any teeth pulled.
Yeah, me
Nothing.
either.
I oil pull, actually. You're supposed to oil pull.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I just want to understand. So the wisdom teeth is connected to your pineal gland, but most pineal glands aren't activated. So it's supposed to be right here, right?
Yo, it's more in the middle, but yeah, it's here, but it's more in the middle.
It's more in the middle. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that.
It's more in the middle. So like it represents, if you go to the Adam and Eve, the Garden of Adam and Eve.
Uh-huh.
In the middle, what's in the middle? The tree of knowledge.
Okay.
What did your brain stems look like? Oh, it looks like a tree. Roots.
Yeah.
And it's in the middle. And it's knowledge. So is the story reversed? Like, oh, don't eat anything, but don't eat from that tree. That never made sense to me. So it's about knowledge. It's about wisdom.
So do you think that there's been this plan to help remove the wisdom tooth in people?
I mean, the dental association,
or are they just taking advantage of a situation since it looks and appears to be crooked from, as it comes in?
yeah, they're taking advantage. Bottom line about money, follow the money.
Right.
But it's also that too, to where if you plant a seed and let the next generation do that and not ask questions, you now don't need to inform them. Just do it.
What do you think about something like that? Music's still going. Oh, what do you think about something about like that? I believe there's probably something going on, and there's no way that your body parts aren't connected to the other body parts and have some sort of, symphony of reactions. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know what the word is. They all work together, though. You know what I'm saying? And they're all part of one big puzzle. And if you remove a little puzzle piece, you think it's going to do something. It's just, it's weird.
And that the human body really is an electronic device. How do you scale from electronics to basic biology? It's pretty simple. You open up the biochemistry book that they have in Germany, like we have in the United States, and the cellular biology book says that cells are designed to run at a pH between 7.35 and 7.45. That's not controversial. Yeah. Did you know, though, in the physics world, that pH is a measure of voltage in a solution? I bet you didn't know that, because I know your doctors don't.
Interesting, right? Never think about it that way. In terms of voltage, when it comes to pH of your body, maybe you haven't, or maybe you have. But another part of the puzzle piece, in my opinion.
You don't own land. Nobody owns anything. But if you want to own the land and actually own it so that even God can't touch it, you have to buy the property or the car or the jet plane, whatever it is you're buying. You have to get it under allodial title. A-L-L-O-D-I-A-L. Allodial. Allodial title. You can buy a car, you can buy a jet plane, you can buy a house, but you buy it under what is called allodial title. And I've seen that done, because I had a guy buy me a car not too long ago. And we went into the agency, and he says, I want to buy him a car. And so the guy said, okay. And so I picked out the car I wanted, and the guy buying it for me said, we want this allodial title. I knew about allodial. Now I just want to see what they're going to say. And he said, we want this car allodial title. And the sales manager said, fine, okay, we'll have to go back and go get the paperwork. He went back and got the special paperwork, came out and says allodial title. Allodial simply means nobody, including God or Jesus, can touch this property. You own it, the land as well. If you buy a house or buy a property, you can put it in a allodial title. That means if the freeway is coming through and they want your property, they cannot touch it.
The truth is hidden in plain sight, and this is how they hide everything. If you are looking for the knowledge that has been hidden from us, if you want to know the meaning behind these symbols, if you want to know who controls the world, this ebook will literally unveil that to you, and ye shall know the truth, and truth shall set you free.
It'll set you free. You just need to know a couple more facts, just a couple more, and you'll finally be okay, and you can finally sleep at night. Just a couple more facts, little things you got to find out, wriggle your way into your system, and you'll find it'll click. You'll get it. You'll get it. I hope. It hasn't worked for me yet, but maybe. No, but ownership. Like other hippies, I don't understand ownership. Can't own land, man. That I can, but that's because I'm not a penniless hippie. No, but it's weird, and I don't know. It's real weird. It's real weird how we have to pay for so much to be on this land we were born onto, like without any choice. Very weird.
You seem like the kind of person that would appreciate a fun fact about pencils. Check this out. What do you call this stuff that's inside a pencil? If you're deep in the pencil fandom, you probably call it graphite, and that's correct. But more often than not, we call it lead. I always assumed that this is because at one time pencils were actually made out of lead. But apparently, that's wrong. This is Nicolas Jacques-Conté, and he invented the modern pencil, which apparently was a dangerous occupation. He made a writing instrument by encasing a piece of graphite in clay and wood, kind of like this. Now, people have been doing something like this with graphite way back into antiquity, so Jacques technically wasn't the first person to do this, but he did make the same mistake that everyone else did. And that is looking at raw graphite and confusing it with raw lead because of how similar they look. So even though they were never made of lead, the name just stuck. But the best part is that the mineral graphite actually gains its name from this use, coming from the Greek word graphene to write or draw, meaning we gave this mineral its name because of how good it is at drawing pictures. So make sure to sauce me a follow if...
Pencils.
Why do whale songs travel so far in the ocean? If you strike a gong and slowly lower it into a tank of water, you'll find that the sound fades away almost instantly. This is because ordinary freshwater exerts significant damping on sound waves. Next, we add a large amount of salt to the water to simulate a marine environment. Let's strike the gong again. Do you hear that? The low-frequency vibration no longer dissipates, instead it becomes deep and resonant, even carrying an ethereal echo. This happens because the salinity changes the water's density.
That's a cool one to try, that you could try, my drummer friends out there. You know who you are. That's cool, though. Something easy to try, and I've seen a lot of fun drumming videos where they do this stuff with the cymbals and different weird things in water. So creative, so cool. Love that stuff.
If you had a toothache 300 years ago, this herb was the only thing that could stop the pain. This herb is called holy basil. Every culture that touched it said the same thing, that this plant stops pain. But Western medicine saw a plant that people prayed to, and they stopped listening. They couldn't separate medicine from mythology, so they just completely ignored it. So while this herb was treating pain across Asia, people in the West were pulling teeth with nothing. It wasn't until scientists isolated a chemical called eugenol that anyone understood why it worked. Eugenol is the same compound that made clove oil one of the only toothache treatments that existed before modern dentistry. Western medicine called it a folk remedy, while it was carrying the same painkiller that they already knew worked. So every time you've walked past it at the grocery store, you walked past 3,000 years of pain relief, which is pretty insane.
I like how we're told from the past, I'm sure this is true to some degree though too, is that most of the remedies for whatever was going wrong with you, they just cut it off or got rid of it, you know what I'm saying, or pulled it out. You know, you got a toothache, well, that thing's gone. You got an arm ache, well, that thing's gone. Your foot hurts, don't tell anybody.
A perfectly circular sinkhole shows up in Chile 3 years ago. Reports say it's a collapsed mine, 200 feet deep, which is shallow compared to the rabbit hole just north of this hole. For 2,500 years, the Nazca Desert has been hiding these things. I had to make a part 2 because I did not realize, after breaking down the first one, the magnitude of what I was actually looking at. So if you haven't seen this first part, go now because it's about to get really weird. I'm trying not to exaggerate or put my spin on this, but these are just the raw facts. These are in the desert. They look random, but they're not. That line connects the axis, the center of 20 of these things, through a valley. There are 100 documented ones, and we know there are more. Many of these form a network in the desert that has lasted 2,500 years. Each glyph is hundreds of meters long. The lines connecting them are kilometers long, creating a colossal network. That's weird enough. That's where the weird starts. These are projections. Geometry only looks perfect from the air. So if you were to make these like they say, it wouldn't work. A string would distort the shape from the air. These go over mountains and hills. String on a stick would keep the geometry perfect on the ground, but it would distort it from the air. What they had to do was distort the lines from the ground so that they looked perfect from the air. And that's exactly what you see on the ground. So far, I've showed you the simple ones. The more complex ones are utterly mind-blowing. Guess how many more invisible lines you need just to reconstruct that guy? That many lines. You know how big this sucker is? 689 feet, 2 football fields, bigger. Geometric ratios that were used halfway around the world were used to create a perspective that we only first see in the Renaissance. So tomorrow, I'm breaking these all down and I'm going to post it on YouTube. Because this drastically changes what we know about these people, and we don't need aliens to explain what they did. The Nazca culture was so smart, they hid a message in geometry for 2,500 years from me and you, and I think we're about to find out why.
That is super fascinating. Just more mysteries on our planet of the past, of things that are super strange. Super strange. Every day there's another one. Another one that I don't know about that I see. Stuff is so crazy.
This is what one of these pieces of technology looks like without paint on it. And if you'll notice, at the top, there's a wire. Can you see that wire coming down? Look, you can see it there. That's electrical wire. Now, why would there be electrical wire on this piece of stone? Because it's technology. And actually, coming from the inside, which is locked and inaccessible, there's another wire. And that one was a pipe. But you can see inside the pipe there's a wire. And that's going underground. This isn't ground level. This is not ground level. There are cities down there. All sorts. Where do you think they get their power from?
Honestly, that idea is so trippy, and it trips me out knowing that, or thinking that all these weird structures, or a lot of these weird structures and buildings and things like that, could have been some sort of antennas or other things, or power something. Or why are they grounding all these things? That one's not that tall. There's trees taller in a lot of places, and why would it, worry about striking lightning? I know I see there's metal at the top and everything, don't get me wrong, but like, how many churches have you seen with the steeple with that same wire running down? Part of me just wants to start clipping these wires. Jokes, just a joke, but I want to clip these wires.
Imagine the amount of work you have to go through in order to just make it so that this is
clip the wires to turn back the good stuff, not so these things are blasted and blown up. Not destructive. Constructive. Constructive.
Pisses me off. I just really think people need to see this. Imagine how much work you have to go through. Like, look at that. You just gotta see the work. I want the engineers and all the people in America and everybody around the world to be able to look at that. Look at that. Look at how this is welded here. Look at the thickness of this and the perfection. Look at the amount of energy that they put into making sure that this right here didn't hit the side of this bell. You have to understand, this is not a conspiracy. This is real life. They took our bells away and silenced it. This bell is sterilized.
Yeah, dude, these bells, so many bells, but have been taken down over the years. And I was thinking, we got the Liberty Bell with a big crack in it. That's, our Liberty Bell. There's some symbolism, something going on there that I don't fully understand, but it's like we broke the old system and they conquered it. They cracked the bell. They dismantled all these things. I don't know. It's interesting. Just poop flingers of the past building these buildings, throwing their poop out the window. Whoops, hit my microphone. Throwing their poop out the window because there's nowhere to put it because they don't have any, systems. And they're also building cathedrals and whatever else. And, we're also just barely making it by with, potato famines and whatever else. And life is so tough and people are barely living and we can barely hold it together. But also we're building a ton of cathedrals all over and it's no problem. We do it all the time. And it's just, people didn't have a lot to do again. So they just built these cathedrals and it really wasn't a problem. That's all.
That's a beardelier or chandelier. Chandelier. It's just a beardelier.
The beardelier.
Hell yeah.
Oh, good stuff. Classic. All right. So the other day, I drove down to Milwaukee, Wisconsin to go look at some cool buildings myself and take some pictures. And this is what I came across. This is one of the buildings. I didn't really look up any of these buildings. I just like the way these buildings look. All this stuff looks very Roman to me. It says Germania right on the top, but look at this. This stuff is just crazy. I'm not understanding this. The lines. Man, just a beautiful building. Oh, whoops. I'm sorry. There's the first picture of it. Just a big old building. Beautiful. I don't think it was made in 1896, but that's just me. You know, more just acanthus leaf stuff. I don't know. This stuff's crazy. Copper roofs. What's in there? Is it maybe some mercury? Probably. Maybe they took it out. Who knows? This is the City Hall building. I didn't really put the pictures in order. Maybe I should have. Sorry, guys. Maybe I should have not have said it, and then he would have not have thought anything about it. Great presenting, Chris. Way to go. You're really doing well. But look at this crazy building. What a crazy building. What are these faces on there? These little wolf faces or something? What is going on here? This is just a crazy building. It's the City Hall building. I think it was once one of the tallest buildings for quite some time. I don't know to what extent. Should have looked that up too. My bad. My bad. Just a beautiful building though. Just absolutely insane. There we go. Look at this thing. Look at how thick these arches are. Look at how thick this stone is. Absolutely massive. What are we doing this for? What are these people? What does this have to do with Wisconsin in 1893? Can anybody tell me how this is related to Wisconsin in 1893 besides the story they tell us? This stuff is absolutely wild. These buildings are absolutely insane. So cool. The picture of that top. Man, we can see one of those heads, those faces. Ooh, look at there. There we go. Interesting. And then we got even smaller lion heads because, you know, the person could see that from down below, right? This is zoomed in from down below, and you can't even tell what that is. That's insane. The level of detail they put up there for who? Look at this beautiful building. And this is another one in Milwaukee. So why do we have griffins? What about this looks like it's from, you know, early 1900s, late 1800s? I'm just guessing. Nothing. Just a beautiful building. Griffins. Griffins and this ornate roof, you know, this stuff was probably everywhere that they got rid of that and just shaved it down, shaved all this kind of stuff down. Now you just see this flatter building and you just don't really think much of it. Just another one of these bank buildings. Just beautiful. To me, it kind of looks like they shaved off something here. Could be wrong on that. But look at how beautiful and intricate all this stuff is. What are we doing here? Is this necessary? In whatever year this was built, late 1800s, early 1900s, is what they'll tell you. Once again, it just looks like it's from Rome. Looks like we're just going to Rome. These buildings look like they're from Rome. Oh, it's just the other side of that building. You know, they had to be something in here. What are these faces? They never look happy. They're not lifting up your spirits. They're always creepy. They're always scary. They're never welcoming. Sometimes I wonder if these buildings were built by people who loved us or hated us, trying to terrorize us or uplift us. Sometimes I don't know. Another picture of that building, I guess, from the corner. Once again, should have put it in order. A little clearer up here. That's dope. Look at the detail. Why do we need this on a roof? Remember, this stuff has also gone through how many Wisconsin winters? 100 years of Wisconsin winters, and still looking like this? Just incredible. Absolutely incredible. But that's all the weird, interesting, cool, and Roman-looking buildings and stuff that I got for you today. Hope you liked this video. And if you did, hit that like and subscribe button. And if you want to support my channel, you can download my music in the description below. Other than that, have a beautiful day. I'll catch you on the next one. Stay curious, my friends.